today, Mr. Marc Walker, co-founder of Xyngular. And so I'm going to talk first by telling you a couple of things that I know about Marc. And so one of the most incredible human beings I could have ever met. I am so grateful to know him and his beautiful wife, Julie. And y'all be sure that y'all are saying live or Memorex. So I know that we're actually going. Y'all know how I get all nervous that I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So y'all be sure y'all are participating for me. And so, but I remember meeting him at my first couple of trips there in Utah and interacting and hearing about the company and things. And if you remember my story, it was further down the road before I really thought that this was a viable source of extra income for the everyday person, that anybody could actually do this if they put the work in. And so I remember vividly, and I know Marc will too, being on the 50K cruise. You saw some of our friends just getting back from that, and Marc and his beautiful bride were on that trip as well. And I remember that morning where everybody shared their stories. And I remember hearing people that had been around longer than I had talking about the company, talking about the character and the integrity of the company from the very beginning. And I'm going to try really hard not to cry right now. And through like ugly crying, everyone, I looked back and I said, Marc, I'm here forever. Like, you have me forever because I was still new at that point in time. Don't tell Lori Ulrich I said that, but I was still pretty new, and I'd never done anything in network marketing before, nor did I intend to. Let's be clear, okay? And to really digest, and now I've had almost 8 years to digest the goodness of this company, y'all. This is the goodness of the company, Mr. Marc Walker. And so I really do. I want to tear up thinking about that day, Marc. And so thank you, first of all, for taking time to come here. And I know there's nowhere you had rather be. Like, nope. we are your passion. And so when you started the company, what was your vision and why did you do it the way you did it? Just take us back, because that's the foundation on which our forever is based.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks, Jana. And, I remember that day on that cruise, and I remember the other times that we met. And the really neat thing for me is Jana was not a believer, right? She's a business lady. She was in banking, and I got a lot of questions of, Marc, is this really possible? Can people really do this? Is this really, that questioning in there, which I loved. And she sometimes, remember, you would apologize for being so direct and asking those questions, but I love that, because she was trying to understand something that was different, that she didn't understand, that she didn't necessarily believe in, but she'd seen other people who had done things, and she was, can they really do that? Can I really do this? Can other people really, really have these accomplishments? And that's what it's all about, is bringing people in and then giving them that belief and then expanding on that belief. And I'll come back to that in a minute, because again, Jana, your story, I think, just parallels everything that most people go through. But, answering the question that Jana asked, why did we start this and what did I hope to accomplish? And, just a quick background. I grew up on a dairy farm in Idaho. It was a small family farm. We were poor, never really thought I'd do much in life, and I, by accident, pure accident, fell into the network marketing industry when I transferred from going to university in Idaho down to Utah to a business school, because all I knew when I started college was my brother was going to take over the farm and I better figure out something else. That's literally the extent of Marc's knowledge of what was going to happen in his life. And so I figured out I needed to go into business after a couple of years in college. So I transferred down to a business school down here to finish up, and needed a part-time summer job at one point. So I went down to a company that a friend of mine told me was hiring. He didn't know their name, didn't know what they did. He just knew the address. I walked into this building, again, no clue what was going on. All I wanted was 3 months of work, right? And then I was going to quit that job. But it was a network marketing company, and it was a good company. And it was a company that was growing. And I, just because I liked that job better than my other part-time job that I had during school, quit the other job and stayed with this company. So instead of 3 months, it turned into, theoretically, in my head, a little over a year, because I was going to graduate and move, right? But 12 years later, okay, I had a firm grasp of network marketing. They'd moved me overseas to head up an office. I'd had a phenomenal opportunity to work with distributors, both in the US and around the world. We'd opened 23 countries, I think, at that point that I had. And I loved what we did. I loved what this industry allows people, and in Jana's words, ordinary, average, everyday people, I always like to say, allowed them to do, and allowed what it allowed them to become. Okay, because I think that's important, an important part of what we do also. And so I just fell in love with the industry, and I've been in it now almost 33 years. Okay. Totally changed my life. Not the path that I thought I was going down. I was going to graduate in finance, move to Boise, where a bunch of my cousins lived, and we were going to, have a great life raising our kids together like we grew up together. Never did that. Still live in Utah. They still live in Idaho. But I have had a phenomenal life. I would not trade it for anything because of what we've been able to do. And I spent, 12 years with this first company. I spent about 7 with another company that was a good company too. But even though with those good companies, there were things that I literally, and I remember being probably 25 to 27 with that first company and thinking, man, this is phenomenal. If, I got to remember that if I ever get a chance to do this or be influential in starting a company, we've got to have this. And I also remember things where I was like, this holds people back. This hurts distributors. If I ever have a chance to have a say in something like this, I will not do this. We will not do that. And so fast forward about, 20 years or whatever, 19 years. And I had an opportunity. I was approached by some people and had an opportunity to be involved in starting a company, and it was Xyngular. And I had an opportunity. I was approached by some people and had an opportunity to I'm getting feedback. Starting over 19 years, and it was Xyngular. And I had an opportunity. I was approached by some people and had an opportunity to I'm getting feedback. Can you hear me, Jana?
Yes.
Okay, I got some feedback from what I was saying. But anyway, I had an opportunity to be involved in starting a company, and it was Xyngular. And right off the bat, I knew here are some things that I believe very firmly we've got to do to help people be successful, to stay out of their way, to let them run, to let them build an organization. And I knew things also that we would not do. We would not do certain things as a company, both in how the company was set up, both in how we treated our distributors, both in the fundamental belief of the company. I knew things that we would not do. And again, in talking with our owners, I would say, okay, if I'm involved, we got to do this. And a lot of times they're like, great, we believe the same thing. But if they didn't, or they had a question, they're like, okay, why do you feel that way? And so we worked really hard to build a company that would be the best possible vehicle for people to be successful, both with the products. We have phenomenal products. I always say that the products are the engine or the foundation. Everything else is built upon it. Everything else runs because of the efficacy of the products. If the products don't work, nothing else matters, right? Especially if you want to build a long-term company. But if the products work, it enables so many other things that we wanted to make sure that those other things worked well too. And so, when we're putting together our pay plan, we would say, okay, so we think we should do this, but if we do that, what behaviors does that cause? What does that cause people to do? And where is that going to take them? And is that where we want them to go? And if it was yes, great, we kept it. If it was no, we'd back up and say, okay, that wasn't the outcome we wanted. What do we change to get us where we want to go and get people doing the things that are going to make them successful? And that was the fundamental goal of Xyngular, was putting together an organization that allowed people to be successful, to be successful with the products, but also to build an organization, to build a business that would pay them. And again, coming from my background and not ever thinking I do much in life, I love the fact that we let people do more than they ever dreamed. We let people be wowed by what is possible, what they do. I've talked to people who literally can't believe they are where they are, right? And we'll have some fun discussions on both them growing into that role, but also what do they want to go, what do they want to do, and where do they want to go from here? And that leads me back to you, Jenna, where you're Marc. Is this really possible? Do people, first off, do people really do this? And then it was, can I do this, right? And I love your story where you went from literally not thinking this was real to not thinking it was possible for you to going far beyond what you thought you could do and what was possible. And I remember the day where you came to me and basically, you've been in banking, 20 something years at that point, if I'm not mistaken. And you were making more money from Xyngular than you were from your job as a VP. And there's no ceiling. There was nothing saying that's all you can do, Jana, right? This is as far as you can go, is right here, and you'll never go farther. There was nothing like that there. And we had a good discussion at that point about what really was possible, where you could go, where other people in your organization could go. And that to me is one of the coolest discussions, right? One of the neatest things that people can do, because it opened up the world to you. And it allowed you to do things that you never dreamed and never thought, both for you, yourself, but also for your family, for Keith, your husband, but also for all of the people in your organization, because the only reason you're where you are is because you have people who you helped be successful too. And by you doing that, the very fact of them being successful is what allowed you to be successful. And that brings me to the last point on this thing is, that's another thing that I saw in other companies was that the way they were structured, the way the pay plan was structured, if a downline became too successful, then it hurt the upline, took title or income away from them. So the upline at times would not want their downline to be successful, right? And I remember thinking, how stupid is that? That makes no sense to me, literally, because don't you want the incentive to be there for your downline to be as successful as they possibly can be with no downside for you, right? So with our pay plan, that's what we built in. There's no downside for you helping your people be wildly successful. And if they're, grow a bigger organization than you, there's no downside. You're happy about that. Yep. And that is something, again, that I wanted to make sure we had, because it's all about, we're happy when we're successful. You're happy when you hit titles and are successful, but you're happier, more joyful when your downline do things that they never dreamed they could do. Right. And that to me is the really cool thing about what we have here and what we get to do is we have people who their whole purpose is to help other people be successful. And the better we are at that, the better we get at doing that, the more successful you will be, the more successful the company will be, because there's no downside to that.
Amen. I love it, Mark. I think about, you talk about the comp plan, and that one of the reasons that got me so in tears that day when we were on that cruise and we were all sharing our stories, if you remember, was where I was at. And I won't mention names with the bank. They were in an integrity crisis. And I felt like every day my name was on the news. And so I was holding on, already making more money, but I'd never done anything different. And I was going, I know I can't stay there forever because they don't, their morals don't align with mine clearly. And to hear those things. And then I think about the comp plan, that's exactly what was going wrong there. It was even though it was corporate America, it was a compensation plan that rewarded bad behavior. And so I'd never seen another network marketing comp plan. Now I've seen a lot where people are looking to come from another company, or they're realizing that it is literally devised so that they don't make money. And I was talking to a girl just the other day that said, I had grown a pretty big business, but because I was outgrowing my upline, it's like, that was basically a bad thing. And I was like, you know how many places in this company, because there is no ceiling, that the person that you enroll actually outgrows you. And I want that for all of you. Since you're all somewhere in my downline, please just go get it, because that's what this company is. And that's what you actually can do here, unlike any other place. And so a common question that we get, especially when we're talking business, Mark, is what makes you different? And I know I talk about no ceiling. I talk about the fact that, I talk about the bonus pay, that we get, the revenue. We don't pay, we don't divide revenue in all other companies. It's like what we do here. I talk about the travel. I talk about the fact that we've got products that are consumables that every human being needs. Those are the common things that we often say. We talk about community, we talk about culture. But if I was to say you're approaching me for business, what sets you apart, Mark? What's different? What's different about your company? I already got a company.
Well, all the things you said, but the thing I love is that we have taken the obstacles, the limitations out of our plan. I've been with some amazing companies, and so I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, but I was with you where I saw times in the comp plan where the upline or the downline outgrew the upline and the upline lost them. Like they went away forever, right? And it just devastated this upline that worked really hard to grow that person and help them. And I just was like, there's no way we're going to do that, because I just fundamentally disagree. You brought them in, you should get paid on them, right? The other thing that I saw was with the structure, I saw a lot of people who grew a great organization, but were not able to be paid on the organization, because in order to be paid down farther levels, they had to have this person at this level, this person at this level, this person at, and if they didn't have it exactly right, they didn't get paid all the way down. And I saw people just work and struggle trying to get the structure right so that they could get paid down, and they were not able to do that, whether they lived in a rural area in the US, whether they lived in a country that the economics didn't work right for that plan. There were people who were not able to progress, even though they built a great organization, they couldn't get paid on it. So again, that made just me frustrated. I was like, well, if you're building this organization, why don't we as a company want you to get paid on it? And so we made sure that you would. We built the complications out of the plan. And we believe, and this is again something I love. I hear, and again, working with and for other companies, these companies, we pay up to, they always say up to 63%, up to whatever, right? 70-something%. We pay basically 50 to 52%. Okay. There's no up to, because the company that says we pay up to 63%, I know for a fact they've paid 42, 43% for 35 years. If it ever gets beyond that, they modify the comp plan or the volume so that it doesn't. That's what they pay every single month, no matter what the papers say of them paying up to X. It's 42, 43%. We pay 50 to 52% every single month. That's what we pay. We have built our whole company around that. And we believe, rather than putting things in there to keep money from people, we believe that we want you to make as much money as humanly possible. Okay. Because if you're doing that, you're happy, your downline are happy because they're successful, or you wouldn't be doing that. And if you guys are happy, we're happy as a company. Okay. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. It's a win for the company. It's a win for you, Jen, as a leader, and it's a win for all you people, because each one of us are motivated and incentivized to make sure that how to maximize our comp plan and make as much as possible. And we actually teach you, when we bring you to Utah on some of those early passport trips, how to maximize the comp plan. And we do that for a reason. I don't want you to build in a way that minimizes your income. Then you're not happy. And if you're not happy, we're not going to be happy long term. So we want you to maximize your income. You want each of your leaders to maximize their income, and they want all of their people to maximize their income. Tell me a company that does that. Where else?
There's not one. That's why we're here. There's not one, Mark. There you go.
Yeah.
Like Stacey said in the comments.
That is our purpose. We travel and we talk on how to maximize your income, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we do.
I love it, and help other people do that. Stacey Rotello used the words in the chat just a minute ago. She said zero hoops. I think that is the skinny of our comp plan. Is there zero hoops? When you talked about the leveling them out, I always say if the green berry spins until the red one lights up and it knocks over here and the purple one falls, then you get paid on these other comp plans. And it's literally, we sign people up, they stay on product, we get paid. I mean, period. But so talk to just a couple more things for you, Mark. The bonus pools, it's my understanding there's other places that pay bonus pools. They pay little. Like I know a company recently that a girl was visiting with me about, they pay 3%, but they go to people like me. Like my brand new manager, Penny, would not get a penny, literal penny, right? And so why is our bonus pool, the global bonus pool, designed the way it is? Because you had to have a forward thinking thought when you did that. So what is it?
Okay. So, and there's a story behind that really quickly. I worked when I started in the company. I worked in customer service for a little while, and then they moved me to work with the owners for about 9 months, and then moved when I decided I was actually going to stay at that point. They moved me into customer service, basically. So I was call center first, which is just pretty much order taking. Went into customer service, and that's where I really got to work with distributors. And I worked with this great lady from the Midwest, and she had a great organization. Had about 250,000 in sales each month coming through that organization. Good leader, worked hard for her people. And then I went overseas for 2 years. And then when I came back, I was over international. And so I was the one helping open all these countries. I mentioned we opened 23 countries there. But as we opened each country, I'd go over and help it get set up and everything. And we would work with all of our leaders around the world to help them make inroads into that market and sponsor people and everything. And so I wasn't in touch with this lady as much, but I still stayed in touch with her because she was a great lady. But at one point I was talking to her, and she said something. And again, this was 27 years ago, right? 25 years ago. She said something that still haunts me to this day. She basically was on the phone with me telling me what a failure she was as a leader. And this is a lady, again, who I think is phenomenal, who had a 250,000 in volume organization every month. And I'm like, why do you think that? I thought she was amazing. She said, Mark, I have tried in every single international market that we've opened to help my people sponsor into these markets and to gain some of the sales that are coming from these markets, because otherwise there was no way for them to get paid, right? And participate in the growth of the company that. And so when we were putting Xyngular together, one of the things that we wanted was a way for people to share in the growth of the company, no matter where you lived, both in the US, no matter rural, city, no matter where you lived in the world, what country, the economics of that country. We wanted a way for you to share in the growth of the company. And so the sales pools are the answer. So we take 1% we take 12% of our total worldwide volume, and we put 1% into each of 12 sales pools. And to your point, you start sharing, you get your first bonus pool check when you hit 2,000 in volume for 2 months, okay? For 1 month. And then the next month you start sharing in that growth. And when you hit 5,000, you get 2 of the pools. When you hit 10,000, you get 3 of the pools. So it accumulates. You don't move up and not get the rest. It accumulates. And so by the time you're about 10 to 20,000 in volume, you're making $300 to $500 a month in commissions to you, payments to you. But the cool thing for me is that's not from sales in your downline. That is the global growth of the company, right? The global sales of the company. So you have Penny, and I don't know where Penny lives, but I'm guessing US, right? Texas, maybe. Okay. You have Penny who is getting paid not just from the sales in her downline, not just from the sales in Texas, not just from the sales in the United States, the US, Canada, Philippines, anything going to Australia, New Zealand, Latin America. Penny is getting paid on those sales. And as she continues to grow her organization, even if it stays in Texas, even if she never sponsors anybody out of Texas, as her organization grows, she gets more and more and more of the percentage of those sales. And so does everybody in her downline who is at 2,000 in sales a month or more. Okay. And it's a way for people to share in the growth of the company. So if we open Japan and Japan goes to 500 million and you never have a downline in Japan, it doesn't matter. You're going to make a heck of a lot of money from those sales in Japan, because every month you're going to get paid. And part of that payment is going to come from the sales in Japan. And that to me is a way for the normal, again, we talk about the normal average everyday person who literally never builds a group outside of, let's say, their home state or their home country, still sharing in the growth of the company every single month. That's why we put those sales pools together. I didn't want people to feel like they couldn't share in the growth of the company and come along on the wonderful ride that we're having, right?
Well, and the words that you used just now is, I didn't want somebody to feel like they couldn't. That's why the trips start so early. That's why the bonus pool starts so early. That's why we pay so quickly, 72 hours. I mean, you help somebody today and in 72 hours, you have money for diapers, car payment, or fingernails, whatever, in your hands. And Mark, I just think it's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing that it is so efficient, so effective in the way that we pay. The way it's devised is simple. I'm not saying that it's easy, but this, like, there like no hoops and things like that. It's absolutely incredible. I love that. And so I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then I'm gonna throw you off at the end here in just a minute and ask you something, because I'm gonna save it to the end because it's gonna make me cry. Anyway, so where do you see us in 5 years?
Okay, good question. In 5 years, I will be international. We'll have some more international countries, right? But I also want us to be a lot bigger in the US. I want us to be a lot bigger in Canada, because there are so many people who need what we have. There are so many people who, and Jenna, you say it so well, right? There's so many people who, when you're young, you have all these, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But then life, you can't do this, can't do that. You get, I say you get squished down into this little box, right? And that's all that you think you ever can do. You lose faith in your ability to be great. And you say you hold the key. You hold the key to unlock somebody's prison. And I love that, because that's so visual and so much a part of what I believe, that we allow people to do more than they ever dreamed, right? To both health-wise, both income-wise, but also we allow them to become more than we ever dreamed. And I love watching people grow personally, from a person who really doesn't even believe in themselves to somebody that ends up being this big leader that they never again dreamed they would or could be, a lot of them. And I love that, because we do so many things, but we're also in a people growing business where we allow people to become the best version of themselves. And in 5 years, we're going to have a ton more leaders that are going to help a ton more people. We'll be in more countries. And so I am super excited for the next 5 years, because it's going to be just, those years are going to be defining in Xyngular's history as we continue to grow, to continue to develop leadership in the average, ordinary, everyday people, and allow them to do more than they ever dreamed. So I'm super excited for the next more than 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. We built a company that's going to last. And I'm just overjoyed to be a part of it.
Love it. We might as well throw out that we've been debt-free since, is it month 2?
Month 2, we broke even.
Like, so we're sound financially, and people say, oh, well, you got in on the ground. I'm like, well, if the ground was way before me without the cap, that doesn't matter. There's people that have come after me. I mean, and like, there's people watching this that are extreme builders that are completely out of my 8 levels. So that means that, like, there's this whole other Jenna Bullard team down there that they're still the ground floor. And like, we're just beginning. I'm like, you have no concept of how much we are not infiltrated into the lives of Americans, even that need this. And so last question. Okay. You came to my house. Yep. First of all, people, when does a co-founder of a company come to a distributor's home? I mean, like, my CEO people never used to even talk to me. I didn't know, anyway, so it didn't work that way back in the day. And so you had the opportunity, you're in town, and you came and you exchanged some barbecue recipes and stuff with my husband. Also, when does that happen in real life? And you came to the house, and I told you the same thing I told Russ Fletcher when he came. And I'll tell you, I told Curtis Call the same thing. And so this is my question in a little bit of a different way. So when you walked in, I said, and we want to get you off because we've stayed up for 30, it's one thing to see somebody on a trip. It's another thing to see them at convention and build relationships, talk, hear the stories. But when y'all got out in the fields, and you were in the homes, you literally walked into the life that Xyngular built. And there is no Xyngular without you, Mark. That was your vision. And to walk into homes that these lives would not be the same if you had not had this vision and created this company. And so when you hear those words and you think back in, I'm going to create this great home for these distributors, and then you see the lives that we wouldn't be here without you. What does that mean to you, Mark?
It means everything, Jenna. That's what it's all about. It really is. When I and again, I'm blessed to know your story, but when I see where you came from and see what you have now, that is what it's all about, right? That is the only reason that we do this. There's a lot of reasons, but that's the greatest reason, I should say, Because again, we have the ability to change people's life, their circumstance, the outcome. If we can grow somebody, they're going to do more in this world for themselves, their family, the people they know, than they would have otherwise done. And if we can help in that, then that's what we need to do. Nothing better than going into your house and seeing what you've built, seeing the results of what we were able to help with. And I love that. I again, there's no who could do anything better than that, right? Who else gets to do such cool things? And so I love the fact that we can be a part of that, and that we can help you do more than you've ever done. And you hit something earlier where you said that people sometimes think, oh, well, it's 13 years old and the opportunities pass. And I'm going to echo what you said. The people who earn the most money are still waiting to come into this company, and tens of thousands of lives are going to be changed just like yours as we continue to grow. And it never ends. We, in 30 years, our company, we doing the exact same thing we're doing now, which is helping people come in, change their life, and then become more than they ever dreamed they ever could be. And that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you, Marc, for your time today. Thank you for your answers. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for the whole spirit of which you lead us, and you developed this for us. And I truly, I'll say it again, I cannot imagine a world without Xyngular, and that world only exists because of your vision. And thank you for spending time and sharing with our group today. We appreciate it.